She said, "I didn't mean to hurt you," while laughing on a call with the man she said was her cousin. I was standing in the hallway, barefoot on the cold floorboards, staring at the half-closed bedroom door like if I blinked too hard the scene inside would rearrange itself into something less humiliating. Her voice drifted out, light and playful, threaded with that little giggle she does when she's trying to sound innocent. "No, seriously, I didn't mean to hurt you," she said, and then she laughed, this bright, bubbling laugh that used to be mine. On speaker, his deeper voice crackled through, amused and warm in a way that made my jaw clench. "You're terrible," he said, mock scolding. "Poor him." I realized my hands were shaking, not dramatically, just a small tremor in the fingers resting against the wall. She was lying on our bed. I could see her feet, toes painted red, bouncing in the air. Her phone was on the pillow next to her, call timer ticking past 40 minutes. 40 minutes of a conversation with the man she still swore up and down was just my cousin, even after I'd found the kind of messages you don't send to family. 40 minutes after she'd sat at that same table in our kitchen and said, eyes wide and glassy, "I didn't mean to hurt you, I swear." Now she was recycling the line, laughing with him about it like it was a punchline, not the thing ripping me in half. I backed away from the door, every step feeling weirdly loud in my own head, and my first clear thought in hours landed. She doesn't actually believe she hurt me. She thinks this is funny. It was a Wednesday night in late August. I'm 31M, she's 29F, I'll call her Sarah, and the man on the phone, the man she let rewrite the word cousin into cover, I'll call Amir. We'd been together 6 years, married for 2. I'm not really posting this to ask what I should do. I already did it. I'm posting because I still wake up hearing her laugh sometimes, and I think I need someone besides my own brain to hold the whole story for a minute. If this ends up on some "never ignore your gut" compilation, so be it. I met Sarah the way a lot of people meet now, through a friend of a friend's Instagram story. Back then I was 25, working stupid hours as a junior pharmacist at a big chain. My social life was basically whoever was still awake when I got off a late shift. One night, my friend Carl posted a blurry story from a house party. Music, cheap fairy lights, the usual. And I tapped through until there was this 5-second clip of a girl laughing so hard she doubled over. Over her mouth, curls bouncing. She looked up at the camera right as the video cut, eyes bright, and that dumb little look just stuck. I replied because apparently that version of me had more confidence than I remember. "Who's your friend with the chaotic laugh?" I typed. He screenshot my message and posted it with shooters shoot. Then DM'd me her handle and, "That's my cousin, be respectful or I'll uninstall your kneecaps." I followed her, she followed back. We started liking each other's stuff, then replying to stories, then actually talking. You know the drill. She was funny in a way that didn't feel like she was trying to impress me. She told me about the patients she dealt with as a physio assistant, about her mum's obsession with sending her WhatsApp chain messages, about how she hated coriander on a religious level. We met in person 2 weeks later at a cafe halfway between our places. I recognized her instantly. The curls, the laugh, the way she talked with her hands like she was conducting an orchestra, only she could hear. "You're taller than I thought," she said as a greeting, then immediately went, "Sorry, that was weird, you look taller than your photos." "You're exactly as loud as your videos," I said, and she grinned. It was easy, stupidly easy. With some people you circle around small talk for ages. With her it felt like we'd already done the first 30 steps in some tutorial. By the time we were on our second coffee, I knew the names of all her siblings, that her parents were from the same village overseas but had actually met in Sydney, that she still had nightmares about Year 9 maths, that she really, really loved old Egyptian films even though her Arabic was rusty. I grew up in a fairly typical Egyptian-Australian household. Copts, church on Sundays, parents who'd worked their arses off so we could have a different life. Sarah's background was similar enough that we had shorthand for things, mums who weaponize guilt, uncles who ask, "When are you getting married?" as a greeting, aunties who mysteriously know everyone's business. We started dating properly a month after that first coffee. The honeymoon stage was intense. Late-night drives to the beach, talking until 3 a.m., swapping YouTube links to songs we grew up with, making fun of how dramatic the lyrics were. She'd fall asleep on my chest with some ridiculous Turkish drama playing in the background, and I'd think I could do this forever. Our first real fight was about boundaries, ironically. We were at my parents' house doing the awkward "this is my girlfriend" thing for the first time. Mum had made enough food for 12 people. My little sister was interrogating Sarah about her job, her star sign, her intentions. At some point during dessert, one of my male cousins made a joke about how I punch above my weight, and everyone laughed. It was harmless, but it clearly irritated her. On the drive home, she was quiet. "What's up?" I asked, one hand on the steering wheel, the other resting on the center console. "Nothing," she said, which obviously meant something. We went back and forth until she admitted, I just don't love being talked about like I'm some prize you won. It makes me feel like an object. I know they don't mean it badly, but still. I apologized. We talked about how we wanted people to talk about us, about respect, about not throwing each other under the bus for a cheap laugh. At the time, I thought, good, we're on the same page about this stuff. Fast forward 4 years. We'd moved in together, survived a pandemic, changed jobs, me to a smaller community pharmacy, her to a private clinic, and gotten married in a big church with too many flowers and an uncle who monopolized the microphone during speeches. On paper, it looked solid. And then Amir came into the picture, or rather, into my picture. The first time I heard his name was casual. We were on the couch, half watching some cooking show. Her phone lit up, she smiled, tapped quickly. "Who's got you grinning?" I teased. She rolled her eyes, turned the screen towards me for half a second. WhatsApp chat, contact name Amir. I only caught a glimpse of blue and grey bubbles. "My cousin from Melbourne," she said. "You don't know him. He's on Mum's side. They used to all live on the same street back home. He's a few years older. We've just reconnected recently. He moved up here." "Ah," I said, "another cousin. You guys multiply." She laughed. "We actually have a whole clan. You just haven't been properly inducted yet." I let it go. I have cousins I barely know too. Reconnecting with family is normal. The first time I met him in person was at her mum's birthday dinner a couple of months later. We were at this noisy Lebanese restaurant, long table, kids running around. Sarah was flitting between conversations, topping up plates, making sure her mum was having a good time. "Oh, he's here," she said suddenly, eyes flicking to the door. Her face lit up in a way I clocked but didn't understand yet. She waved, big overhead wave, and this guy threaded his way through the tables towards us. He was handsome, I'll give him that. Tall, neatly trimmed beard, that easy charisma some people are just born with. He hugged her mum, kissed her cheek, then turned to Sarah and swooped her into this big, rib-cracking hug that lifted her off the floor. She squealed. "Put me down, idiot," she laughed, swatting his shoulder when he finally did. "Look at you," he said, holding her at arm's length. "Last time I saw you, you were literally wearing braces and crying because you failed a maths test." She smacked his chest. "Why are you like this?" He grinned, then turned to me. "You must be the famous husband," he said, sticking out his hand. "I'm Amir. Sadly, I am related to this menace." "Jake," I said, shaking his hand. "I've heard, very little actually." Sarah rolled her eyes. "I told you about him," she said. "You just don't listen." There was a flicker of something there, playfulness, but with an edge. I pushed it aside. Dinner was loud, chaotic, fun. Amir slid into conversation easily. He told stories about their childhood summers back home, about climbing onto roofs and getting chased by angry neighbors, about how Sarah used to insist on playing football with the boys and cry when she lost. Everyone laughed. It was clear he was beloved. But there were small things that didn't sit right. Like how he always seemed to be touching her, a hand on her shoulder as he passed behind her chair, a palm on the small of her back when they leaned in to share a joke. That might just be how his family is, I told myself. Or the way he looked at her when she wasn't looking. Not creepy exactly, just too soft to be strictly cousin-type affection. On the drive home, I mentioned it, lightly at first. "You and Amir seem close," I said. She smiled, that automatic fond one. "Yeah, we were thick as thieves as kids. He was like my older brother." "Feels weird you've never mentioned him properly before," I said. "Like, if I had a cousin I loved that much, you'd know his whole medical history by now." She shrugged. "We drifted when his family moved interstate. We only recently started talking regularly again. Mum got in contact with his mum about something, then they added me to this cursed family WhatsApp group." I laughed. "Ah, the infamous group." She shot me a look. "Don't laugh, one day you'll be in it too. Then we'll see who's surviving 140 unread messages about someone's neighbor's second cousin's wedding." "Can't wait," I said flatly. She snorted. If the story stopped there, Amir would just be another extended relative I occasionally saw at gatherings. But it didn't. Slowly, his name started cropping up more in our day-to-day life. "Amir told me about this new place that does amazing shawarma. We should go. Amir said he can get us a discount on car servicing. His mate owns a workshop. Amir called me on his way home from work. He's thinking of changing careers." It wasn't inherently weird to talk about family like that. What made my gut twitch was the frequency and the timing. He always seemed to call late, 10 p.m., 11. I'd be half asleep on the couch and her phone would buzz. "Amir is calling." She'd light up, answer, go into the bedroom, close the door because he's on loudspeaker and the echo is annoying. At first, I didn't say anything. I didn't want to be the jealous, controlling husband who got weird about cousins. Also, that mattered to me. I know what it's like to reconnect with people who know you from before you grew into whatever adult version you are. There's a comfort in that. But the calls got longer. The laughter got different, softer, intimate in a way that made my skin crawl, even if I couldn't put my finger on why. One night she came out of the bedroom after a call, eyes bright, cheeks flushed. She flopped onto the couch next to me, picked at my hoodie string. "What?" I said. "Nothing," she said, but she was smiling. "Must be something," I said. "You look like someone just told you you've inherited a small country." She laughed. "We were just talking about old times," she said. "He remembers so much dumb shit I'd forgotten. Like the time I cut my hair because I wanted to look like that actress and I ended up looking like a mushroom." "Send me a photo," I said, "for blackmail purposes." She grinned. "I will not." I tried to share the moment, to get in on the joke. Instead, I felt like I was being shown a movie from the foyer. A few weeks later, the first real "this is wrong" thing happened, and of course, I found it by accident. I was doing the very romantic task of booking our electricity through an app on her phone because mine was dying. I paid the bill, then my thumb slipped and I ended up on her home screen instead of closing the app. Right as I was about to hit the lock button, a new WhatsApp message popped up from Amir. "Remember when I told you you'd always be beautiful? Still true, BTW." I froze, my thumb hovered. The rational part of my brain said, "Look the phone, hand it back, bring it up calmly." The other part, the one with the pounding heart, said, "Open the chat. Now." I did. The chat thread was long, way longer than I expected. Messages nearly every day. Most of it was harmless enough on the surface, memes, jokes about their parents, random thoughts, but here and there the tone slid. "Amir, you looked really happy in that dress today." "Sarah, which one?" "Amir, the black one from your story. Suit you." "Sarah, lol, it's just Kmart." "Amir, doesn't matter. You could wear a garbage bag and I'd still say mashallah later." "Sarah, sometimes I miss when things were simple and we just hung out on the roof and no one expected anything from us." "Amir, same." "Amir, feels like I blinked and suddenly everyone is married, W kids, and talking about interest rates." "Amir, accept us." "Sarah, haha, yeah, we're the flops." A week before that. "Amir, remember the river?" "Sarah, OMG, yes." "Amir, you were so scared to jump in." "Sarah, you literally pushed me." "Amir, you held my hand though." My palms were sweaty on the phone. My heart was hammering so loud I could hear it in my ears. Maybe this was still just overly cozy cousin banter, but my gut was screaming. Then I scrolled up to the night before. "Sarah, sometimes I feel like no one really gets me here." "Amir, I get you." "Sarah, yeah." "Sarah, you do." I locked the phone, put it down on the table, stared at it like it might explode. When she came out of the shower, towel around her hair, she saw my face immediately. "What's wrong?" she asked, grabbing her moisturizer. "I saw some of your messages with Amir," I said. She froze. "You went through my phone." "I had it open to pay the bill, a notification popped up," I said. "I read it, then I scrolled." Her eyes flashed. "That's a violation, Jake." "So is your cousin telling you you'd be beautiful in a garbage bag?" I said, anger rising now that the initial shock was wearing off. "What is that?" "He's complimenting me," she said, defensiveness sharp. "Is that illegal now?" "Is that how you talk to your actual cousins?" I asked, "because I don't tell mine they'd look beautiful in anything they wear." "We grew up close," she said. "He's always talked to me like that. It's cultural. You wouldn't understand." I laughed harsh. "We have the same culture," I said. "My passport looks like yours." She rolled her eyes. "You know what I mean," she said. "He's from the village, they're more dramatic, flowery, it doesn't mean anything." "And this," I scrolled up, read the "I get you" bit aloud. "He gets you, and I do." She sighed, rubbed her temples like I was being difficult. "I vent to him sometimes," she said. "About family stuff, about you. He knows the context. It's easier than dumping it all on you when you're exhausted from work." "You venting is one thing," I said. "Him sliding into 'you're beautiful, only I understand you' territory is another. This reads more like a guy flirting than a cousin checking in." "It's not like that," she insisted. "He's engaged, for God's sake. To my friend, even. This is what we do, we hype each other up. Does his fiancée know he's telling you you'd look good in a garbage bag? She hesitated. She knows we're close, she said finally. She'd probably roll her eyes at this entire conversation. I took a breath. I was trying not to explode. Okay, I said slowly. Let's strip away labels for a second. If this was some random guy from your gym, not your cousin, would you be comfortable showing me these messages and saying it's platonic? That's not fair because he is my cousin, she said. So you get to override my discomfort by playing the family card. Her shoulders tensed. You're being jealous, she said, and controlling. You don't get to police my relationships with my family. I'm not policing your family, I said. I'm telling you that the vibe of this specific relationship makes me uncomfortable. You laughing it off and calling me jealous doesn't make that feeling go away. Maybe you should work on your insecurities then, she snapped. That one hurt. We talked before about how I sometimes felt not enough in relationships, thanks to an ex who cheated on me and then blamed me for her boredom. Sarah knew that. Hearing her treat my concern like some pathetic character flaw strung more than any of Amir's words. We went to bed angry that night, backs to each other, both pretending to be asleep. The next morning she was softer, coffee already made, apology formulating. I'm sorry I called you jealous, she said, wrapping her arms around my waist while I washed a mug. I just felt attacked. Amir is one of the few people I feel like I can be fully myself with, you know. I thought I was supposed to be one of those people, I said. You are, she said quickly. Of course you are, it's just different. He knew me before all of this, before life. You met me at 23, he remembers me at 10. I'm not saying you can't talk to him, I said. I'm saying the way you talk crosses boundaries I'm not okay with. She nodded, biting her lip. Okay, she said. I can tone it down, be more mindful. Maybe talk to him less at night so it doesn't feel like I'm sneaking around. That would help, I said. I wanted to believe that was the end of it, that she'd realized the grey line and stepped back, that love and reason and all the things people write Instagram quotes about would win. For a while, it kind of looked like that. The late-night calls tapered off. When Amir did call, she took it on speaker in the living room. The messages I saw were more obviously group chat stuff, screenshots of old family photos, memes about Arab mums. We even joked about it once. Have I satisfied the jealousy gods? She asked, raising an eyebrow as she plugged her phone in. I'm not jealous, I said automatically, then added, I just prefer when you're laughing with me, not at some guy who tells you look hot in bin bags. She laughed and kissed my cheek. Don't worry, she said, you'll always be my #1 bin bag. It became one of those stupid private jokes couples have. I thought, look at us, communicating and growing and all that self-help book stuff. Looking back, I think that was deliberate. Whether she admitted it to herself or not, she wanted me to relax just enough that she could move things underground. Because here's the thing about trust. Once it's cracked, every new piece of information has to push through that crack to land. It distorts. You second-guess yourself constantly. Is this normal? Am I being paranoid? Am I reading tone where there is none? For about 6 months, things were genuinely calmer. We started talking about trying for a baby. We decorated the spare room. We went to friends, weddings, and answered the inevitable, when are you two next, with non-committal jokes and secret glances. Then, one random Sunday, the universe handed me the missing piece I didn't know I was looking for, via my own mother. We were at Mum for lunch, just the 3 of us and my younger sister. Mum loves playing genealogist, especially when there's a possibility of connecting social circles. She was asking Sarah about her extended family, who's married, who's back home, the usual. What about that cousin you mentioned, the one who just moved from Melbourne? Mum asked, ladling more stew onto Sarah's plate. Is he settled here now? Sort of, Sarah said. He's renting near Bankstown, still figuring out work. What's his name again? Mum asked. Amir, Sarah said. Mum frowned. Amir. Sarah paused for half a beat. Elshad, she said. Mum's eyebrows shot up. Elshad, from Asiat. Yeah, Sarah said, surprised. You know them. Mum shook her head. No, I know of them. They're not from your village though, are they? Sarah laughed awkwardly. Well, you know how our families are, she said quickly. Everyone says they're from the same place even when they're not. Something in Mum's face changed for a fraction of a second. She said non-committally, then changed the subject. Later, as we were leaving, she pulled me aside in the driveway. That Amir boy, she said quietly in Arabic. How is he related to her again? Her cousin, I said, on her mum's side. Mum pressed her lips together. Her mother's family is all from Minya, she said. The Elshards are a Siut people, different communities. Unless there was a marriage somewhere I don't know about, they're not blood. I felt that tilt again, like the world had shifted a few degrees. Are you sure? As sure as I am that you like to pretend you're not losing your hair, she said, then cupped my cheek. Just be careful, Habibi. I drove home in a weird haze. Her words weren't proof of anything on their own. Families marry across regions all the time. Last names overlap. I told myself that on repeat. But once you start pulling at a loose thread, it's hard to stop. That night, when Sarah was helping me stack the dishwasher, I tried to be casual. Hey, random question, I said. Is Amir your cousin or like, we grew up together so we call him cousin? She stiffened just a little. Why are you asking? Because Mum was trying to figure out how your families connect, I said. She was confused because she thought your mum's side was all from Minya and he's an Elshard from a Siut. Sarah's face did a weird flicker, surprise, irritation, something like fear, quickly masked. Our grandparents were from different places, she said. It's complicated. Is it? I asked softly, because it sounds like he's maybe not actually related to you at all. He is, she said quickly, just not by blood. Our grandfathers were close like brothers. My mum always called his mum's sister. We grew up calling each other cousins. That's just how it is in our culture. I nodded slowly. That does happen, to be fair. There are plenty of fake cousins who are closer than real ones, but something about the way she'd answered, no, the order she'd answered, made my stomach knot. Why didn't you say that from the start? I asked. You've always implied you were blood. It didn't seem important, she said. He's family. When we fought about your messages with him, I said carefully, it mattered a lot to you that he was blood. You literally said I wouldn't understand because cousins are different. She looked away. I didn't want you to get even more weird about it, she muttered. So you lied by omission. She slammed a plate in a bit too hard. I didn't lie, she snapped. I just simplified. Everyone calls him my cousin, including my mum. Why are you trying to pick this apart? Because my gut has been screaming for a year, and every time I bring anything up you call me jealous, I said, trying to keep my voice level. Finding out he's not actually related to you by blood doesn't exactly calm that gut down. You're making it something it's not, she said, voice rising. You have always had issues with trust, and now you're projecting them onto any man who shares childhood memories with me. We went around and around until we were both shouting, then cold, then silent. She slept in the spare room that night. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying every interaction I'd seen between them, every harmless message, every giggle from behind a closed door. The next day, while she was at work and I was supposedly on a late shift, I did something I'm not totally proud of and also don't regret at all. I checked the iPad we use for Netflix. I knew her WhatsApp was linked to it because she'd shown me memes on there before. The app was logged in, her chats loaded. I scrolled to Amir. The most recent messages were tame enough. Then I scrolled further up, past the point I'd seen before our fight about the I get you line. That's when I saw it. Amir, do you ever think about if things were different? Sarah, like how? Amir, like if our mums hadn't forced the cousin thing and we'd just been us Sarah. You had a crush on everybody back then. Amir, no, not everybody. Sarah, remembering it wrong. Amir, am I? Amir, first time I saw you in that blue dress at the summer party, I literally forgot my name. You held my hand the whole walk back from the river. Sarah, you also pushed me into the river. Amir, you forgave me though. Amir, eventually. Sarah, it was a long walk back. Later in the same thread, maybe a month after that. Sarah, sometimes I wonder what would have happened if you hadn't moved away. Amir, you would have married me instead of him. Sarah, shut up. Amir, you know it's true. Sarah, stop. My chest hurt reading it, not metaphorically. Actual physical, that can't be good pain. A week after our big fight about the messages, when she'd promised to tone it down, there was this. Amir, he's still being weird about me. Sarah, he's uncomfortable. Amir, lol. Amir, uncomfortable that someone else knows you better. Sarah, don't start. Amir, I'm just saying. If he trusted you, he wouldn't be flipping out over text. Sarah, I guess. Amir, anyway, I'll back off so you can calm him down. Last thing I want is to be the reason you guys break up. Sarah or not, he just has baggage. Amir, he's lucky I respect you. Amir, otherwise I'd make things very messy. I sat there on the edge of the couch, iPad on my knees, heart pounding, feeling like I'd just walked into a movie halfway through and realized I've been the dumb extra the whole time. I took photos of the screen with my own phone. I don't know what part of me was already preparing for trial, but I knew if I confronted her without proof, she'd twist it back onto me. I was still staring at the last line when the front door clicked. I jumped, closed the app, almost dropped the iPad. Hey, she called, why are you home? I thought you had late shift. Swapped, I said automatically. My voice sounded weird to my own ears, too high, needed to get some things done. She came into the living room, tired, hair in a messy ponytail, lunch container in her hand. You okay? She asked, eyes narrowing. You look off. We need to talk, I said. My hands were actually shaking now. She stiffened. About what? About your cousin, I said. Her mouth pressed into a thin line. I'm not doing this jealous routine again, Jake, she said. It's not a routine, I said, anger finally pushing through the fog. I held up my phone, flipped through the photos. The if our mums hadn't forced the cousin thing, the you'd have married me, the he's lucky I respect you. I didn't hand it to her, just let the images flash between us. The color drained from her face. What the hell, Jake, she whispered. You went through my WhatsApp on the iPad. Yes, I said. After my mum accidentally let slip that you and Amir aren't actually related by blood, and after you minimized it, and after months of you calling me jealous whenever I said I was uncomfortable. I did, because my gut was screaming and you kept telling me I was crazy. That's a massive invasion of privacy, she said, voice shaking. So is emotionally cheating on me with a guy who jokes that I'm lucky he respects you, or he'd try to blow up our marriage, I snapped. Which invasion do you want to talk about first? Her knees seemed to give a little, and she sat down onto the couch. For a second she looked, genuinely shocked, like she hadn't fully let herself see what the messages were either. It's not, she started, then stopped, tried again. We joke like that, it's not serious. You wonder what would have happened if he hadn't moved away, I said, scrolling. He says you would have married him instead of me. Explain to me how that's a joke between cousins, blood or not. She buried her face in her hands. I don't know, she muttered. It just happened. That's your line for everything that crosses a boundary, huh? I said. It just happened. We were just joking. It was just this, just that. She looked up, eyes wet. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said softly. If you didn't mean to hurt me, why did you explicitly hide the nature of your relationship with him from me? I asked. Why did you double down on the actual cousin narrative when you knew how it would land? Because I knew you react like this, she burst out. Because I knew you'd freak out and call it cheating when it's not. Because I felt like I couldn't bring up any of this without you seeing it as proof that you're not enough. You telling him you might have married him instead, that you wonder what if, is cheating, I said. You planning 2 parallel lives in your head and giving him access to one of them while I blindly invest in the other. That's cheating. It was fantasy, she said, voice small. Stupid, harmless fantasy. We were bored, nostalgic. We like feeling like the main characters for 5 minutes. That doesn't mean I was going to leave you and run away with him. Were you going to tell me any of this? She opened her mouth, closed it. No, she admitted. Then tell me again how you didn't mean to hurt me, I said. She started crying properly now, shoulders shaking, mascara smudging. Part of me, old wiring, I guess, wanted to reach out, comfort. The rest of me sat there, frozen, holding the phone like a shield. I messed up, she choked. I know that. I let the lines blur. I liked the attention. I liked feeling chosen, I guess. It was like being teenagers again. No bills, no responsibilities, just feelings. When I realized it was getting into a place that would upset you, I tried to pull back. You tried to pull back enough that I'd shut up, I said. Not enough to actually fix it. She didn't argue. What do you want, Sarah? I asked after a minute. Honestly, no cousins, no culture, no deflection. What do you want? She wiped her nose with the back of her hand, looking all of 12. I want you, she said. Our life, this house, Milo, kids one day, all the things we talked about. With him in your back pocket as plan B, I asked. No, she said quickly, then softer, at least not anymore. Was he plan A before? She shook her head, then nodded, then shrugged helplessly. He was a what if I held onto when things felt hard with us, she admitted. When we were fighting, when you were distant because of work, when I felt like I was nagging you all the time. He was this imaginary alternate life where I'd chosen differently and somehow everything would be easier. That's not how alternate lives work, I said. You'd have different problems, maybe worse ones. I know that logically, she said, but it felt good to visit sometimes, to imagine. At my expense, I said quietly. She nodded, tears spilling again. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know sorry doesn't fix it. I hate that I'm the kind of person who did this. You are the kind of person who did this, I said, but you don't have to stay that version forever. The question is whether I'm willing to stick around while you figure out how not to be her, and whether you'd actually change or just get better at hiding. That's not fair, she protested. Fair left the building when you let him say you'd have married him, I said. We went in circles after that. She promised to cut him off completely, to block him on everything, to tell her family the truth about his cousin's status, to go to therapy, to do whatever it took. I'll call him now, she said at one point, reaching for her phone. I'll tell him it's over, that we can't talk anymore. I don't want to listen to you break up with your not cousin, I said. Do whatever you're going to do, but I need space. I'm going to Mum, tonight. And that's how we got to the hallway, to me barefoot on cold floorboards, listening to her through the bedroom door. I'd gone to Mum, sat there shell-shocked while she fed me and clucked her tongue and cursed in Arabic under her breath. She told my dad in a softer, worried way. He sat with me on the balcony in that quiet man way and said, Trust is like glass, you Ibni. You can glue it, but you'll always see the cracks. I came home late, the apartment was quiet. Sarah was in the bedroom, door half closed, phone on speaker. I heard his voice before I saw her. I just don't get why he's being so dramatic, Amir was saying, half laughing. We didn't even do anything. My pulse spiked. I know, Sarah said, that comforting tone she uses slipping out. He's just sensitive. He took it really hard. Over messages, Amir scoffed. If he read my chat with Muhannad, he'd have a heart attack. She giggled. Don't, you'll make me feel worse. You're not the one with the problem, he said. You didn't mean to hurt him. I didn't mean to hurt you, she echoed, laughing. Or him. God, this is such a mess. That laugh, that line. I think something in me actually snapped. Not loud, not dramatic. More like that final, quiet crack when something that's been under pressure for a long time finally gives. I stepped back, away from the door, away from them. Any illusion I had that she was on the phone drawing boundaries, making amends, dissolved. She was playing both sides, trying to keep him placated and keep me on the hook. I grabbed my overnight bag from the hallway, the one I keep out of habit because of late shifts. Took my charger, a change of clothes, Milo's carrier. I walked out without saying a word. I don't know how long it took for her to realize. She called me about 20 minutes later. I let it ring, then another, then a string of texts. Where did you go? Are you at your mum's? Can you please answer me? Jake, this isn't fair. I told him we need to stop talking like that. I didn't mean to hurt you. Every I didn't mean to hurt you landed like an insult. You meant to enjoy yourself and hoped I'd never find out. That's what she meant. Over the next few days, things escalated the way these stories always do. There were long crying phone calls, blocked and unblocked numbers, her turning up at my mum, crying on the doorstep, my sister hovering in the background like a protective guard dog. She tried every angle. The apologetic one, I'm so sorry, I will cut him off, I've already blocked him, I booked a therapist. Please Jake, don't throw away 6 years over this. The defensive one, you're overreacting, we didn't sleep together. Other people would kill to have a husband this committed, you're looking for reasons to leave. The guilt-tripping one, my mum keeps asking where you are, she's going to have a heart attack if we divorce, do you want that on your conscience? The minimissing one, it was just stupid messages. Emotional affairs are a made-up concept anyway, it's just the internet. At some point, she swung back to calling him her cousin again, like if she repeated it enough it would rewrite the facts. I asked for a week of no contact to think. She managed 2 days. In that time I spoke to a therapist. I spoke to my dad. I spoke to my best friend, who's normally diplomatic to a fault, and even he said, bro, she's mentally living a rom-com with another guy while married to you. That's above my pay grade. I kept thinking about my future kids, about what I'd tell my son if he came to me with this story. Suck it up, she didn't mean it. Or you're allowed to walk away from people who consistently dishonor you. I also kept thinking about Amir's fiancée, Sarah's friend, the woman whose life was also being treated as a subplot in their little fantasy. So I did something petty and also, in my opinion, necessary. I sent her screenshots, Not all of them, not the ones that would humiliate her more than inform, just enough. The "you'd have married me instead," the "I get you," the "he's lucky I respect you," and a short message. "I'm really sorry to be the one to send this. You don't know me well, but I thought you deserved to see what's been happening between your fiancé and my wife. Whatever you do with this is up to you." She didn't reply, at least not to me, but from what trickled back through the grapevine, there was an explosion over there too. Engagement off, families involved. Amir suddenly not welcome at a lot of gatherings. Sarah called me furiously the next day. "How could you?" she sobbed. "You humiliated me in front of everyone. You made it so much worse than it had to be." "You humiliated yourself," I said quietly. "I just removed your ability to keep pretending it wasn't that bad." "You're vindictive," she spat. "I told you I didn't mean to hurt you. You meant to hurt me." "I meant to stop lying being an option," I said. "If that hurts, maybe the problem isn't my motives." In the end, I did what I think we both knew I had to do the minute I saw that "you'd have married me" line. I filed for divorce. It wasn't dramatic. It was paperwork and waiting periods and awkward conversations with priests and aunties. It was splitting furniture and deciding who keeps which plates. It was me moving back into my parents for a bit, then into a share house with two thin walls, Milo adapting better than both of us. She tried, right up until the last moment, to convince me we could still fix it. She sent long emails in between legal correspondence, quoting therapy terms, talking about attachment styles, about her fear of abandonment, about how she'd realized Amir represented unresolved childhood stuff and not real romantic desire. Maybe she was even right, psychologically speaking. Maybe if we'd gone to therapy 3 years earlier, before the lines with Amir blurred, we could have rewired things. I don't know. What I do know is that once I'd heard her laugh, using the same "I didn't mean to hurt you" line with him as a joke, there was no version of the future where I could believe her words again. People ask me now sometimes, when I tell the abridged version on dates or to friends of friends, whether I regret sending the screenshots, whether I regret leaving over just messages. No, I regret ignoring my gut as long as I did. I regret how much time I spent twisting myself into knots trying not to be jealous when my boundaries were being stomped on. I regret not believing myself until the proof was undeniable. If you've made it this far, and you're sitting there with that same heavy feeling in your chest, wondering if you're crazy for thinking your partner's cousin texts read more like a crush, here's what I wish someone had told me sooner. You're not crazy for wanting to be your partner's person. You're not controlling for saying, "Hey, it hurts when you give the intimacy that's supposed to be ours to someone else." And if they respond to that vulnerability by laughing about it on the phone with the very person in question, if they turn "I didn't mean to hurt you" into a punchline, they meant to protect their fun, not your heart. Sarah loved me in her way. I believe that. She also loved the high of being desired by someone off limits, of being the center of a secret story. Those things aren't mutually exclusive, but one of them had to win when it came to our marriage. She chose the story. I chose to step out of it.